The final session today then is cranes. So on the left, we've got a crane running up and down inside a building. And on the right, we've got a crane which is running along the bottom flange. So slightly different sorts of issues. What I'm going to talk to you about are the design values of actions. Before we get to the design values of actions, we need to think about the characteristic actions. You'll get that from 1991-3 shown on screen at the moment. It is a terribly complicated approach, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake, if somebody comes to you and says, well, work out the loads on the cranes in accordance with 1991-3, I suggest you pass it to somebody else as your first approach rather than getting stuck in. It is complicated. There's lots of different actions, you know, in a crane, sideways, longitudinally, vertically, due to lots of different things. There is always a dynamic amplifier. So on this table, we've got different dynamic factors which are applied to different load arrangements over on the right-hand side. And we end up with combinations of crane loads, so groups of loads in the ultimate limit state, so different types of loads across the top and the application of these different dynamic factors. So even before you start combining things with any other loads, it's a not insignificant issue. Lots of times you'll find that people are using software. Maybe that's a good thing. Let's hope that the crane manufacturers have got software which they might make available to you. If you search for this particular publication, so I've given you a Google search that you might want to use, Worked Example Crane Supporting Structures Sedler Check will get you to this document which you can download for free, and you'll find worked examples of proceeding through the determination of all those loads and also all those dynamic factors. So you might want to have this guide by your side if you're working with a crane supporting structure. Even though they have been amplified by a dynamic factor, they're still characteristic, and therefore we need to combine them with other actions and determine the design combination of actions. We have Annex A in 1991-3, which tells us the partial factors we should apply. And this is the slide I've been leading up to, ladies and gentlemen, because look at the partial factors over on the right-hand side. For permanent actions, 1.35, and for variable actions, 1.35. So the shock to me is after every other variable action that I'm aware of being multiplied by 1.35, all of a sudden when you get to a crane, it's multiplied by 1.5. What about the psi values in combination with other loads? Well, it's entirely realistic that the crane might be there in combination with other loads. So not a surprise that psi naught there would be recommended as 1. So I've shown you the 1.35s and the value of 1 as recommended in the Eurocode. What does the UK National Annex say? Well, the UK National Annex says, yes, we accept those values. So 1.35 for both permanent and variable actions due to cranes. And the psi values, well, typically I highlighted psi naught, a value of 1. So when you look in the worked example publications that you'll find, don't be surprised. This is not a mistake where the guide I referred you to earlier has shown 1.35 for both of those partial factors.